This forum was designed initially to speak about global issues, and today it's still concerned with finding common ground between countries at odds. And the reality of the international situation is such that countries such as Armenia and the Caucasus in general are confronted with geopolitical issues. Those are the two themes that we need to try and deal with without being too lenient or disillusioned.
If we agree, we could start with the Armenian Prime Minister. Mr. Prime Minister, you have 7 or 8 minutes, of course, and you are free to tell us your messages, and then we will turn to your colleague from Georgia.
Is this switched on? Yeah? Yeah? Thank you very much. Honorable Prime Minister Garibashvili, Mr. Duclos, esteemed participants of the 6th Paris Peace Forum, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to express my gratitude to President Macron for the wonderful organization of the forum, warm hospitality and invitation. One of the pillar records of the forum documents is that 2 billion people worldwide live in conflict-affected areas. From the point of view of the Republic of Armenia, it would be more precise to write that sentence as follows. As a result of ethnic cleansings, more than 500,000 Armenians no longer have the opportunity to live in their homeland. 500,000 is the number of Armenians who were forcibly displaced from Azerbaijan and became refugees as a result of ethnic cleansing. About 360,000 of them were forcibly displaced from Azerbaijan since the beginning of the 90s as a result of the Sumgait and Baku massacres and Armenophobia. Since then, Armenophobia, unfortunately, has been the state policy in Azerbaijan. And before that, under the Soviet Union, due to administrative and psychological pressures, Armenians had to leave Nakhichevan and many other areas of Azerbaijan. Around 26,000 Armenians flee Nagorno-Karabakh during the 44-day war of 2020. And as a result of the large-scale attack and ethnic cleansing perpetrated by Azerbaijan against Nagorno-Karabakh on September 19 of this year, around 105,000 Armenians were forced to leave Nagorno-Karabakh within a week. For a long time, we have alerted the international community that such a prospect becoming more and more realistic, especially after the illegal blockade of the Lachin corridor in December 2022. But the international community did not take any adequate measures, and we cannot blame those people who claim that the forced displacement of Armenians from Nagorno-Karabakh took place with the silent or behind-the-scene agreement of some of the international players. Nevertheless, dear participants, I have not come to this peace forum to talk about war. I have come to talk about peace, even though Azerbaijan has started to call the Republic of Armenia West Azerbaijan, after implementing yet the minimum of its plan of Armenian cleansing. The concept of so-called Western Azerbaijan, which is a concept of preparing a new war against the Republic of Armenia, is propaganded in schools, universities, and mass media of Azerbaijan. And all this, despite the fact that we seem to be close to signing a peace treaty with Azerbaijan, notwithstanding the fact that the above-mentioned issues raised significant questions regarding the sincerity of Azerbaijan. But it does not shake our commitment to the peace agenda, and we hope to sign a peace treaty with Azerbaijan in the coming months based on the following three principles agreed upon in the negotiations held in Brussels. Principle number 1. Armenia and Azerbaijan fully recognize each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty based on the understanding that Armenia's territory covers 29,800,000 square kilometers and Azerbaijan 86,600,000 square kilometers. Principle number 2. Armenia and Azerbaijan confirm their unequivocal commitment to the 1991 Almaty Declaration as a political framework for the delimitation. For your information, dear participants, Almaty Declaration was signed by the 12 republics of the Soviet Union on December 21, 1991. Under that declaration, the 12 republics of the former USSR, including Azerbaijan and Armenia, recognize each other's territorial integrity, sovereignty, the inviolability of existing, that is, administrative borders, and therefore the existing administrative borders between the republics of the Soviet Union become state borders. Principle number 3. Future transport arrangements for unblocking transport and economic links in the region will respect the principles of sovereignty, jurisdiction, reciprocity, and equality of all countries. We reached an agreement on these principles during the negotiations with the President of Azerbaijan in Brussels, and these agreements were recorded in the statements of the President of the EU Council, Charles Michel, following the May 14 and July 15, 2023 trilateral meetings. French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz also expressed their support for these principles, which is expressed in the quadrilateral statement of Granada signed by Charles Michel, Olaf Scholz, Emmanuel Macron, and me, and it happened last month. And if Azerbaijan doesn't reject those principles, it means that signing a peace treaty with Azerbaijan in the coming months becomes very realistic. Unfortunately, the President of Azerbaijan refused to participate in five-party meeting in Granada last month. The planned trilateral meeting in Brussels in October did not take place, and I have not received an invitation to the next meeting from Charles Michel. I hope our European partners are committed to their obligations. Honorable participants of this forum, our region, the South Caucasus, needs peace, which is a situation where all the countries in the region live with open borders, are connected by active economic, political, cultural ties, and have accumulated experience and tradition of solving all issues through tools of diplomacy and dialogue. To provide such a situation will be very difficult without reopening the transport communications and taking this into account. The government of the Republic of Armenia has presented the Crossroads of Peace project. This is a plan to connect our regional countries, including Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Turkey, with railways, roads, cables, gas pipelines, power lines, or strengthen existing connections. As you know, at the moment we do not have any functioning road, nor any functioning railway, cable, pipeline, or power line with either Turkey or Azerbaijan. And we propose to change this situation positively. The Crossroads of Peace project would also bring benefits to Georgia and Iran, including bilateral as well as in terms of strengthening ties with Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Armenia. The details are provided in our Crossroads of Peace brochure, which is distributed to you, and I hope that we will be able to implement the project as a guarantee of stable and long-term peace in our region. The implementation of this project will be beneficial not only for our region, but for international trade, connectivity, and stability. And I hope for support not only regional countries, but from the international community in general. Definitely, we are in front of very important, let's say, historic crossroads. So let's make it crossroads of peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Mr. Prime Minister.
Well, first of all, thank you very much. I want to join my dear colleague, my dear friend, Prime Minister Phashinian, in thanking President Macron and organizer of this forum for inviting us and for organizing this forum, because nowadays, as Prime Minister mentioned, the world is full of conflicts, unresolved crises, and who suffer from this crisis? People suffer from this crisis, our population, our citizens. We live in an era of uncertainty, unpredictability, and you know, we see, for example, the war in Ukraine, which is ongoing and which is we don't see an end, we don't see a solution yet. We see a crisis in the Middle East, which is very dangerous. We see frozen conflicts in Georgia, for example. We see the occupation of our territories. And therefore, there's no solution. We see lots of conflicts in Africa or any part of the world. So therefore, the solution and the answer to all these crises, to all these conflicts, must be peace. We must do everything, the governments must do everything to achieve the peace. So I want to take this opportunity and talk to you about the success story of Georgia and what we achieved in the last decade. So when we came to power in 2012, the status quo of Georgia was that 20% of our territory was occupied and is still occupied by Russia. It's one of the biggest challenges for our reality. Unfortunately, the first war, which happened between Russia and Georgia in the 20th century, was in 2008. It started in Georgia, basically. In the 90s, we had civil war. We had the wars in Abkhazia and Ossetia, in the occupied territories, which was supported by the Russian Federation at that time in the early 90s. So the country of Georgia has seen so many problems, so many challenges. After the war in 2008, we saw another big war, which just started 2 years ago, or in Ukraine a year ago. And I think this is a great challenge for all of us, because whether we like it or not, whether we try to avoid further escalations or complicated scenarios, it affects all of us. The wars affect all of us. Of course, the situation in our region, in the neighboring countries, in Armenia, in Azerbaijan, of course, is a matter of concern for all of us. Of course, for Georgia. Georgia is I have said it many times, and I would repeat, is a very objective, unbiased, I would say so, mediator, facilitator, just a friend who trusts both countries, and we have excellent relationship with Armenia. We have excellent relationship with Azerbaijan, and I personally have a very trusted relationship with both leaders. So therefore, Georgia's interest is to secure long-term, long-lasting peace and stability in our region. Georgia, we and my government, we managed to achieve an uninterrupted and unprecedented peace and stability in our country. Under every leadership in Georgia, we had wars, we had conflicts, we had civil war, we're losing territories. This is the only period Georgia did not have any war. We were not losing territories, and we're growing. We're making our country stronger, and we're getting richer. And this is this is something that brings prosperity for our population, for our people. Of course, the challenge which is related to the occupation is still there. It hasn't disappeared. But we chose a strategic patience policy. And why I'm saying this? Because there are things we cannot solve immediately, right? So therefore, you need patience, you need a long-term strategy, an action plan, and you have to follow this. And you got to be consistent in achieving this plan. Georgia, in the last 10 years, made, I would say, very attractive, impressive reforms and achievements. I was privileged to sign the association agreement with the European Union in 2014. We signed free trade agreement with Europe. We got the visa-free regime with the European Union. Last year it was historic because we got the European perspective. And just two days ago, this was another historic decision made by the European Commission, which gave the recommendation to the Council to grant candidate status to Georgia. This is historic achievement. Why? Because Georgia, a Georgian people, and my government, our ruling party, have made very concrete decision. This decision is irreversible, and this decision is that we want to get closer to Europe. We want to become a full-fledged member of the European Union, and we're moving in this direction consistently, step by step. We are getting closer to this national, let's say, plan. At the same time, we managed to increase our economy. Our economy has tripled since 2012, according to national currency, and also GDP per capita in US dollars was doubled in the last 3 years. The inflation is very low. Together with Armenia, we are the fastest growing economies in the world right now. And it's not very coincident. We are creating good policies and effective governance, and because of that, we are ensuring strong economic growth for our population, for our people, and it brings more jobs, more stability, more, let's say, predictability for our businesses, for investors. FDI, for example, was a record number last year. So the poverty or unemployment are at historic lows, and countries' national reserves are at historic highs. So all I'm saying this is because nothing would happen if there was no peace in Georgia. Peace is crucial. Peace is something that we need to achieve. The world right now needs less warmongers. We need more peacemakers. Because right now what we see is that we are very concerned how this war in Ukraine will end. We're very concerned how the situation will evolve in the Middle East or elsewhere. So therefore, countries like Georgia, Armenia, we're small countries, small nations, but we are, of course, we are very strong nations. We're one of the oldest nations on earth, and of course we are definitely interested in maintaining peace, stability, and ensuring prosperity for our citizens. So my point is that people and nations across the world, they need clarity, they need certainty. Right now, we don't see any certainty. We don't see any predictability. Nobody knows what what will be the future tomorrow. So, of course, who is capable of solving this kind of problems? Big countries, like big superpowers, and countries like, again, I want to repeat, Georgia, Armenia, or Azerbaijan, small countries. They need to have a clear vision, right, from the Western big powers. So. Therefore, I want to once again reiterate and confirm that Georgia is interested in maintaining peace and stability, and we are absolutely confident that we will be able to achieve the occupation of our territories step by step through our prudent, but I would say very careful but wise policies. This is the only choice that Georgia right now has. And I want to underline one more thing. In the last 10 years, more than 10 years, we have not done anything at the expense of our sovereignty or territorial integrity or our national interests. So we're doing everything for our people. We're doing everything what's best for our people, what's best for our future. So. Once again, thanks for giving me this opportunity to speak about ourselves. Once again, I want to thank the organizers, you, Michel, you, Mr. Duclos. And the last note, 2 years ago, we successfully mediated, I would say this was one of the first mediation precedent that we created together with Prime Minister Phashinian and President Aliyev. When Azerbaijan released 15 detainees through Georgian mediation, and Armenia gave the maps for the mine territories. So, therefore, Georgia is capable of achieving these results, and I think trust here is crucial, because when somebody is offering mediation, this mediator should be trusted from both parties. If there's no trust, there will be no successful mediation. And one more thing, I said it in Davos this February or this January, that maybe the parties don't trust each other, but there should be cooperation. Without cooperation, without negotiations, without peaceful dialogue, there will be no peace. Thank you.
Thank you. If I may follow up with the view from Tbilisi, Prime Minister, in very simple terms, what we fear in France for the time being is that Russia, Azerbaijan and Iran may be in some kind of agreement or implicit agreement. To make life more difficult for Armenia, especially in a time when big powers in the world have their mind busy by something else. And this configuration of quasi-alliance or understanding between those three countries I mentioned, plus the general context, makes that there is no incentive for Azerbaijan to stop where they are now. Is it a totally wrong picture? I hope so. Or what would you say?
Well, Georgia has a friendly strategic partnership with Azerbaijan.
Precisely, that's my point, yes. No, precisely, that's my point. How do you assess Azerbaijan's intentions or plans for the next future?
Again, let me just finish what I started. Georgia has strategic partnership and friendly relationship with Azerbaijan. Georgia has strategic partnership and friendly relationship with our brother nation, Armenia. So therefore, Georgia cannot be biased in this situation. Georgia is neutral, 100% neutral, and we cannot take any side in this situation. My friend Nikola Pashinyan knows this very well. My friend Ilham Aliyev knows this very well. So therefore, I think we should ask these questions to the leaders, to Prime Minister Pashinyan and to President Aliyev. So I wouldn't comment on that because I want to safeguard our neutrality and our unbiased position in our region. I think this is in the interest of three of us. So we had a very fruitful meeting last month when I hosted the Tbilisi Silk Road Forum, and I'm grateful my friend Nikola Pashinyan visited Georgia, and Prime Minister of Azerbaijan also attended the forum, and I think there was a good opportunity. Three of us managed to sit down and talk about the future of our region, talk about the future cooperation, how to overcome all these difficulties, how to overcome these barriers which Prime Minister Pashinyan just described. So I think Georgia should maintain this neutral position here. Thank you.
Thank you
for understanding.
Thank you very much. Prime Minister Pashinyan, I suppose you were disappointed with the missed opportunity in Grenada. But some people are saying that the European leaders, including France, of course, made a mistake by not inviting, for instance, Turkey and others. How do you assess yourself what happened in Grenada?
Thank you very much. The fact is that the meeting in Grenada and the format of that meeting was agreed in 15 July of 2023 in Brussels. So there wasn't just a matter of planning during 1 week or 10 days or even during months. So we three, President Michel, President Aliyev, and myself, we agreed on that, and we preliminarily agreed on the format of Grenada meeting. In Chisinau, it was, if I'm not mistaken, in May, June, in June, and first five-sided meeting happened there, and preliminary there was agreed that the next five-sided meeting, it's very important that the concrete, the list of participants were decided there, and after that in 15 July in Brussels we reconfirmed that, and by the way it was publicly announced. So because it wasn't in agenda I wasn't informed that there is some other version of that, because when we were discussing, we're preparing for Grenada meeting, our perception and reality was that it is already decided, agreed, etc. So the refusal of Azerbaijani president to come to Grenada, it isn't connected with the, I think, other factors. It was just matter of addressing what was already agreed.
Do you think that Iran has a specific plan on the issue between Azerbaijan and Armenia?
You know, we know that Iran make it clear that that country defends the peace process based on the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and inviolability of borders. So actually those are the principles, by the way, I have already mentioned in my
introductory remarks?
In my remarks. And those principles were agreed on Brussels trilateral meeting as well. And by the way, the meeting of Granada, the goal of meeting of Granada was the reconfirmation of principles which were already agreed. That is very important. And look, now many people, they are discussing how they are trying to assess the possibility of signing peace agreement between Azerbaijan and Armenia. And there is no any exaggeration. If Azerbaijan reconfirms what was already been agreed, so that means that the 70% of the job is done. So now you know, it is most important nuance whether Azerbaijan confirms what have been already agreed during our negotiations in Brussels, and which was recorded in the public statements of Charles Michel.
If someone in the public wants to... Yes, madam.
Thank you very much. I'm the ambassador of Azerbaijan to France. I would like to greet, first of all, the speakers and also for you, moderator. Well, I would start by touching upon the issue that, moderator, you touched, that you are in France is feared. France is feared about the so-called threat to be posed by Azerbaijan against Armenia. Let me stress that this fear is absolutely baseless, because what Azerbaijan has done until today is restoring sovereignty over its territories, which is recognized, by the way, by the international community. So, in fact, we have gained what belonged to Azerbaijan by international law. And as Azerbaijan has already declared and redeclared every time that we are interested in peace, we not only declared Azerbaijan was the initiator of the process of normalization with Armenia immediately after the end of the war of 2020. And of course, Azerbaijan is for direct dialogue between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And I would touch also the issue that have been touched upon on the Granada and the position of Azerbaijan. I think the position of President of Azerbaijan have been clearly stated. The day before Granada, France foreign minister visited Armenia and declared the decision to arm, to send armament to Armenia. So was it really the purpose to serve the peace and normalization in the region by deciding arming Armenia, by deciding supporting the revanchist ideology in the country? So of course this was a decision taken against, and from the other side France was intending to participate there as the mediator. So the country which takes openly, publicly the side of the one country and declares public that I'm sending armament to the country, then says that I'm the mediator. From the other side, the leaders denied also participation of the president of the Turkey. So this explanation was publicly said by Azerbaijan. And I would also like to reiterate the position of Azerbaijan, which is about normalization, which is about return of the lasting peace to the region. And I would like again to both of the speakers, because I understand the common message here was about the return of the lasting peace to the region, because this is what we need. And this is the position of Azerbaijan. And by the way, by the signing of the treaty, the principal position of Azerbaijan is that this treaty should be based on the norms and principles of international law. The respect for the principles of international law, respect to the borders, internationally recognized border by the international community, and respect to the sovereignty of all countries in the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Do you want to comment, Minister?
Yes. Yes, I heard that message, and you heard that message about the intentions of Azerbaijan, and about that I assess that positive. But from the other side, I would draw your attention that growing wording of Azerbaijan, calling actually all the Republic of Armenia, Western Azerbaijan. It is very concerning message, and which is very important, that wording, that narrative is being sponsored by the government officially. But there is very simple question. There is no need for further arguments. If Azerbaijan reconfirm 3 principles that were agreed with participation of President of Azerbaijan, that means we can move forward. I would like to touch upon the issue connected with the France, Armenia, etc. You know, any country, any sovereign country has opportunity to have army and to obtain armament, etc., etc.
Prime Minister, every country has a right to defend itself.
Yeah, what I said
Opportunity.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry. I should have said right. And Azerbaijan also buying a huge amount of weaponry, and the budget of the buying armament of Azerbaijan is triple in comparison with Armenia. But in general, what is the main message? The main message that I have already delivered: if Azerbaijan reconfirm 3 principles that were agreed, so that means that to have peace treaty during coming months with Azerbaijan, it is more than realistic. So let's go forward.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Are there other questions? Madame?
Thank you very much. Cleo Corcutt for Politico. I have a question for you too. With the war now, Israel's war against Hamas, there's a lowering of attention to what's happening in Ukraine and more generally to what's happening in Eastern Europe and beyond. Are you worried about the sort of fatigue around the sort of the wars in the Caucasus and beyond, and that attention towards the enlargement process will wane gradually?
First of all, I would like to welcome the decision of European Commission to recommend the European Council to grant the candidate status to Georgia, and I think it is very important. Now it's cross fingers. I won't congratulate on that now. After European Council will make decision, I will congratulate you officially. So I think it is very important process, and we are following very carefully after what happening. And we hope that, and we wish all the success to Georgia in this way. And unfortunately, as Prime Minister Garibashvili said, we have many threats and many conflicts in the world, and our mutual task to work on and to continue to work to address all conflicts. Understanding that it isn't easy. If it would be easy, it would have solved long ago. So unfortunately, we now in a situation when we need, it is our personal and political task to address the conflict, to solve that, and our duty as well to do our best to be successful on that path.
Prime Minister, do you want to have a last word?
Well, once again, I want to say how concerned we are about all these crises, all these conflicts and wars in the world, and the author of the question mentioned the ongoing crisis in the Middle East, situation between Israel and Hamas, and Georgia is pro-peace. Of course, we're against terrorism, and We condemn the terrorism and terrorist attacks on the civilians. And, again, I want to repeat what I've said in the beginning. I said countries need solutions. If you cannot solve the issue through war, you got to sit down and talk and negotiate. That will be my last word about this situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much to both of you for this very interesting conversation. And good luck to your two countries.